Welcome to the Workshop Therapy Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew, and joining me today is Chevy from Disability Crew. And you have the honor of being the third Australian on the show.
Lovely.
I think. Yeah. So you're the third most famous Australian I've ever talked to. Actually, I'll take that back. You're probably the second most famous Australian, social media wise.
Okay, who's picked me off the top position there?
So the first Australian guest I had was crud. What's his first name?
I can't be that famous. I may as well take the first position.
So Sawdust Bureau. Do you follow him on Instagram? Why am I drawing a blank on his name? I'm sorry. Yeah, Sawdust Bureau. Where is he at? Melbourne, I think.
Okay.
Or Ballarat, maybe.
Okay.
I don't remember. Anyway, I mean, he's not super huge either, but it's like 20,000 followers or something like that. And then he's a custom furniture maker.
Yeah.
He was one of my early guests, actually. Good grief, I'm totally drawing blanks on everybody's name now. I feel like I should just edit this out and make it. Nev Jones, he's a psychologist in Tambourine Mountain, I believe.
Yes. We have spoken a little bit just on Instagram, and I can't remember who reached out to who, but I think anyways, we're waiting to catch up with each other, just trying to find some time that's mutually convenient. It's quite difficult, even though he's only an hour down the road.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? It's like you get busy and it's hard to just connect for the sake of connecting.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really enjoyed him as a guest and kind of aspire, actually, practice-wise on my part, to kind of Instagram. Therefore, in today's society, you're much more famous than.
I don't prescribe to that sort of metric, but you know what? If it's a metric, I'll take it for now.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth? Like I'm currently working in the schools, in the high school and junior high schools with kids, and it's interesting talking to them about stuff like social media and like, oh, followers and blah blah blah. I'm like, geez, that's really actually a meaningless thing.
Kids actually are saying that that's a profession that they aspire to be. Like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Or a content creator, or a YouTuber or whatnot. It's wild.
Yeah, it's interesting and playing in that game a little bit too. I guess it's like I don't understand how people make a huge living at it, and I also don't understand why people would want to make a huge living at it either. Sell your soul for the content creation end of it, but anyway.
I feel like I could be a lot further along with the business in terms of a bit more reach if I was more comfortable doing that, but I'm just not.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about your business? Because we got into it a little bit in the pre-show, kind of your riches to rags and now back to riches story.
Well, that might be a bit of a stretch, but yeah.
So riches to rags to at least I'm dressed again story, right? Is that how
And you get to put on my nice shirt for this podcast too. I never get a chance to wear it.
I can afford to wear a flannel shirt now, so I'm back to success again. Anyway, so you kind of started off in the corporate world in banking, you said, and like every other banker, you've realized that if you stayed there, you wouldn't have a soul anymore.
Yep,
that
correct.
That's how it works.
Nailed
it. Then you went off backpacking in Southeast Asia, which is everybody's dream to go find themselves. And now here you are working as a support person with Disability Crew. Go ahead and kind of tell us what that is exactly and what you do.
Yeah. Just to quickly on that point, you said everyone goes there to go find themselves, but I've always thought it wasn't to find myself; it was to hear myself. Because you can't hear yourself and all like what you actually want to do with all the noise around in your environment, with societal expectations, all that sort of stuff. So anyways, just to just reminded me of something I've always used to tell myself. But I guess in a nutshell, what we do at Disability Crew. So yeah, like I said, I started it 4 or 5 years ago, and the intention was to never to teach people like an actual qualification or pretend to be something we're not. But it was always just to help them make whatever they wanted or needed, whether that's gifts for friends and family or things they need around the house to make their lives easier. Yeah, that whatever it was, and just to teach as much throughout that process and just create an environment where people felt really safe and seen and vulnerable to just chat and hang out for a couple of hours while we made something. And it's just worked really well because it's like a parallel activity. There's no face-to-face awkward eye contact with a lot of the people that come in are quite socially anxious, and it's just difficult. But this just helps for the barriers to come down, and the conversations that take place can be they're always enjoyable, but sometimes they can be quite full on. But that's just because of the space that's in here. This workshop therapy is phenomenal.
Yeah, so you're so I'm a little bit unfamiliar with how the social support systems work in Australia. So as a support person, well, what's your role? You're not like a counselor, therapist, psychologist sort of thing, right? What exactly do you do in that role?
No, never professed to be that. I guess it's just from my own lived experience, not in terms of a disability, just my life experience. And I've always been a good listener, and I've just value being able to have, depth in conversation and being able to impart any sort of knowledge and wisdom that I have gained over the years. And then that's just, I guess, what guides me in the conversations that happen in here. Is a lot of the people are younger, and it's just that mentor guidance type of relationship, and that's essentially it. There's nothing more to it. I guess because I care. I just genuinely care about the people that come through here, and if I can sort of guide them and mentor them, I will, while we work on stuff, and then they get to take something away at the end of it, and feel good about themselves from that aspect as well.
Yeah, this is one of those things where hopefully the psychologists that do listen to the show, I know there's a few of them. I hope I don't offend them with saying this, but research shows that with mental health therapies and stuff in particular, that at least 30, 40, maybe even 50, but at least 30% of the therapeutic benefit of counseling and that type of stuff is just the straight relationship that you have with the client. It has
Yeah,
nothing to do with technique. It has nothing to do with anything outside of that. It's all, exactly what you're doing.
yeah,
Being
yeah.
there, present with the person, talking to them, letting them talk, giving them a safe space.
I think present is the key word. And funnily enough, I'm really self-aware. If I have a lot going on in life and business, like if things are just chaotic, I know straight away if I'm not present with the people downstairs, because it's a home workshop, and that's my first sign to pull back elsewhere and just to switch back on, because they know it. Even though there's certain disabilities, like they can feel it. They're more, I think a lot of them are more in tune than most. So yeah, presence is absolutely key. I think that's
Well, that kind of begs the question, actually. So you said your workshop's in your house. Yeah, you don't have a 50,000 square foot warehouse with all of the tools and everything. You're, you're clearly not a successful social media personality yet. Then,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
so what do you do then in those situations where you are losing that sense of presence? Like you're getting distracted. Do you have a routine to kind of step back and go, hey, let's take a minute here, do some deep breathing or whatever, or what do you do?
Actually, if I'm in a workshop,
Yeah.
is that yeah, yeah. I'll snap out of it within seconds. I'll know straight away, and then yeah, that's as simple as that. I'll know if well, I think everybody does it to a point. You'll know if someone's speaking to you, your mind. I mean, our attention span's what, 5 to 7 seconds these days.
Yeah.
Things that's been proven. So you'll know straight away that if your mind's not completely with the person, and I'll just snap out of it and Yeah, I guess because at the front of my mind, and that word as well, being present, something I value with everybody. My mates know me as someone that will get up on me if they've got their phone out when we're talking. So yeah,
So you've prioritized just that sense of connection with people then,
yeah,
and over time it is developed into a just it's the way you are and who you are then.
yeah, exactly. And that, I guess that ties into what I was saying before about my own life experience and the value that I can add to the people that come is it's my value set and yeah, what matters to me and what I value I can see in the conversation and what I can add to everybody's lives because you get to know them. You know, I've got nearly 30 people that come here on a one-on-one basis. So over the last few years, you know, you get to know these people and form a relationship. You get to learn what their life is like, their family situation, their milestones in life, and then when you know, I think it's the consistency as well. When you get to check in some are weekly, but most are fortnightly. You get to follow up on those things, and then it just leads the way for really nice relationships. And then they feel like they are coming to the workshop not just to make something like, oh, I remember this thing I told you about 2 weeks ago, and you just get to be part of everybody's journey, which is really quite special.
So what type of clients do you work with a lot? Like do you get a lot of like kids struggling with anxiety sort of thing, or like neurodivergence, autism, ADHD, that type of stuff, or what do you?
All of the above there, as well as you know, physical disabilities, you know, schizophrenia, you know, narcolepsy. Like there's just a whole range of disabilities. And the youngest guy, he was 10. Actually, I've had a 7-year-old come in for a few workshops, but the youngest at the moment is 11 and the oldest is 71. So a whole range of people and yeah, all walks of life. So
Hmm.
it doesn't matter how old, what disability, it doesn't matter.
You're not going to discriminate it against.
No.
So how did that end up developing then? You said a little bit about it at the in the pre-show there, but how did you really end up, you know, becoming a workshop support person versus just somebody who sits and talks on the phone and says, "You're doing a good job. I'm here for you."
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess I started as a support worker, and that's a lot of community access and home care kind of stuff. And like I mentioned, I ended up bringing people back to my place to do the woodworking. So it was, I mean, it was kind of a selfish thing too. I hate to say it, but uh, I guess my mission when I packed up all my stuff or sold most of my stuff and went traveling was I just wanted to create a life that I didn't need to escape from. And part of that was I wanted to find income from something I enjoy. And support work filled that. But then the woodworking thing, when that light bulb went off, I was like, that would be amazing. So I just started doing that. And I was still doing the support, which I still do some support work, but 95%, maybe a little bit more is the woodworking workshops. And that's just how I got into that. But knowing that also people with disabilities within the NDIS in Australia, that there aren't always that many activities for them to do. And just going to the movies and that kind of thing, the stigma around is what support workers do. Like, I just wanted to create another activity that was actually fulfilling and gave them real outcomes.
Yeah, that's. I don't know if you listened to the last episode that I did with Dr. Kelly Lambert.
I did.
Yeah, I think she was a really good guest, and I think that kind of highlights what you're talking about too. Is that effort driven reward? It's like the more there's no effort in sitting in a theater watching a movie,
Yeah.
but there's effort in creating something, and then you have that physical thing you created that to remind you that, hey, I went through a hard thing, or I did something difficult I didn't think I could do, and now
Mm,
I have this thing. But
mm, yeah.
see that in your clients?
Yeah. Yeah. And that is really special because not only, you know, you get to share something you really love, you have to learn how to teach it. Then you see them doing the thing, and then you see them with like that pride and their eyes light up at the end, and then they take photos of it. Like when I step back and it's finished, and I'll take a photo for the socials or whatever, but I'll see them get their phone out and take a photo. That's absolutely priceless. And then I know that they get to go and show their family, when they get home, and we've got that constant feedback loop of, yes, I didn't know I could do that. I've done that, and I got the validation from others for doing that. And it becomes addictive. This is why we're woodworkers. You just want to keep making stuff, and getting to share that with others is really, really cool.
Yeah. So when you're, I guess going back to bringing people into your workshop, what do you do to keep, I mean, them and yourself safe? Because I mean, if you got somebody who's 7 years old coming into your workshop, they don't know anything really about shop safety. Like, what are your procedures that way when you're kind of bringing people in?
Well, obviously, done the risk assessments as the workshop has evolved, as more machinery is added. Not that I have got that many machines, but I've got all of the bare basics. Do an induction at the start and highlight, the hazards around, the tripping, that kind of thing. Got some stuff taped on the floor, all of the usual first aid, fire extinguisher and stuff. But I don't let anybody use anything unless we've gone through it and had many sessions where I feel like they even have the capacity to learn this machine or tool. But I haven't had to have those conversations, because you get a gauge of the person when they come in straight away. And the youngest one I did mention, though, the 7-year-old, he was someone, oh, that was stressful. He was bouncing around everywhere, touching this, touching that. So that was, it got the heart going. But you just have to be on it, and that's why the one-on-one works so well. I'm not about trying to fill as many seats, so to speak, to maximize profit. And I've had many people over the years say, well, why don't you do that? You get so much more money, etc. But for me, it's always been about the impact and the connection and my own fulfillment, and that's in the one-on-one setting. Mind you, we do have a couple of group classes, but they're 2-3 people max. So yes.
So how do you go about like selecting projects with people? Like you said, you bring people in to do things that they want to do or things that they need. Like, do you have like this? Do you have that conversation of like, well, what do you want to make? And
Yep.
on the chest of drawers, and it's like, well, you have no skills whatsoever, so maybe let's start with this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely, exactly that. What do you want to make? I love making practical things, and my woodworking skill, I would say, is quite amateur. I know enough to make what I need, and I've never not been able to make something, besides one project actually, which I've hired someone for. He's an absolute prodigy. He's probably someone who should get on the show. He is 17 only, an absolute prodigy, and yeah, he's an absolute, I can't even describe him, mate. His skill set for 17 years old is phenomenal. But anyways, what was the question again?
How do you go about selecting the projects with people?
Yes, okay. Yeah, what do you need around the house? What practical things? That's where my joy lies, I guess. And like, for example, picking up a machine, like a washing machine, off the ground, so it's not, so that someone doesn't have to bend down so much. Yeah, like tables, chairs, is the gifts coming up, Easter, Christmas, all that kind of thing. A really cool project just this month. Sorry, last month, my favorite project was a ring box someone made for their girlfriend. Yeah, so gifts are really special, and yeah, practical things mainly. But Pinterest is always readily available on the phone, just to go through things and see what sparks someone's interest, and then we just chip away at that.
So do you normally have somebody come in then, not so much with an idea, but with just I want the experience then?
Most people, when they come here, they don't know what they're going to do. So if they haven't already, I'd say 75% of people know what they want to make first time. And then that generally leads into the next project and the next project, because they'll learn a new skill for project one. They're like, oh, that was really cool. And if it was I don't know, if it was a table or something, or a coffee table, like, what about a dining table? Working on a dining table at the moment. Yeah, so yeah, usually there's always something people will need around the house or want to make for someone else. So we're never short of projects to make.
How do you manage that? Because you said about 30 people, 30 clients working with you right now.
Yep.
I mean, they're obviously not all making dining tables, but it doesn't take very many dining tables before you start filling up your shop and your extra workspace. How do you
Yeah.
manage all of that?
So luckily, I have a room next door to the workshop, and that's full. It's Tetris at the moment. Even just this week, a couple of days ago, I'm having to like move things out to get to, and I've even created a little pathway to get to the back corner. So yeah, I'm constantly having to juggle what stage of a project as well. Like for one of the projects, for example, is a big daybed for someone, and he's quite tall. So this it's like a 2 meter long daybed. But we're building the base and the actual backrest separate, because if we put it together, can't get it through the doorway into the storage room. So that's always been a thing. And same as the dining table, we're gonna have to, yeah, don't know what we're gonna do there. Might have to store it outside and put some tarp over it or something. Not really sure, but it's a constant juggling act, put it that way.
So then, is there a long-term goal of like at a certain point it would be nice to have a 5,000 square meter shop, or is the long-term goal to kind of maintain what you have and make that maybe more effective?
Very nice segue, actually. I guess I feel like I've hit the sweet spot for my own personal satisfaction. Going to a commercial space I mean, the expenses would go through the roof, and it would change the whole dynamic of the business. It would then become about survival and getting as many people through the door as possible to meet those expenses. And I guess it's like, what's the point? Like, I have what I've set out to achieve now, and I'm really fulfilled. So I've been trying to protect where I'm at as long as possible. What I'm working on at the moment, and I have launched, is to license the concept. So yeah, any Brizzy listeners, please get in touch, because I'm looking for someone to do exactly what I'm doing in different parts of Brisbane. For 2026, I'm just looking to put on one person, and that will help me. We'll be able to reach more people and make a bigger impact, while I still get to maintain what I have here, because like I said, it's the sweet spot, and I have the ultimate lifestyle business that I've created for myself, and I don't want to let go of that. But in saying that, if I had to, it's not something I'm opposed to. It's just in the near future, not so much on my radar.
Yeah, that's one of those things from like a business scale perspective. You get to I don't know, random numbers, say 50% of your maximum capacity. And that's where you can manage everything yourself, everything, you don't have to stress. But then in order to get past that point, you have to work three times as hard for the next 10%. But then once you get past that 10 to, 60 to 75%, then suddenly it becomes, easier. But do you want to push yourself through to the point where you have five employees or whatever, so then you can get back to exactly where you were before?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you know that Fisherman in Asia story? I'll look up, try my best not to butcher it, but there's some village in somewhere in Asia. It's not important, but he's goes out every day in his little boat or canoe, and goes and gets some fish and comes back. That's his life. That's how he provides for his family. And then a businessman comes and sees that every day he's going out getting some fish. One day, a businessman pulls him aside. He's like, why don't you get another boat? And you can get more fish, and then you'd be able to provide more for your family, and then you get more money." And he's like, "And then what?" He's like, "Well, then you can get more. They can get staff, and then it's just around that side. You can get more boats, more people, more fish, more money. And then what?" It's like, "Then you can chill." He's like, "But I'm already doing that." Like, goes and lays on the boat and waits for the fish to grab. And that's kind of exactly how I see this. Is I have what I really really enjoy. Like, what is the point? And a lot of that, if people don't question their intention, I think fall into that trap of, it's ego, it's status, and look at me, look what I've achieved, and the legacy they want to leave. But is it really, or is it, a bit of greed creeping in?
Yeah, agreed. And how much of it is just like that? Yeah, like we talked about the pre-show there, how much of buying the fancy car or the vintage car or whatever is just a status. Look at me, I've made it sort of situation. Like
Exactly.
in your case is like, if you're happy where you are, you're feeling fulfilled, you're improving somebody else's life. Yeah, like why does it matter if you have a bigger shop? Aside
Yeah.
from aside from maybe some things would be more convenient, but then you're right, then you're taking on more expense and more stress, and then you lose what's actually valuable about what you're doing.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I've I don't usually write affirmations and stuff, but I've got two that well, the only two I've ever actually written and put somewhere. But on that point, one of them is focus on the impact. I can't swear. Focus on the impact. FK everything else. Yeah, and it's exactly on that. It's like what's the point? Yeah, I risk losing what I've created and what's special to so many, including myself. Like I definitely know that I've become a better, more well-rounded person because of this work.
I forget. I keep through our whole conversation here. I've been thinking of. I read a paper or a book or something recently, and I don't remember what it was now. And I've been trying to think of it, but the gist of it was just that the real mental health and real happiness has nothing to do with things and possessions and status and all of that, but it has everything to do with the impact that you're making in other people's lives.
Yeah, yeah. That's similar to the world's longest study, the Harvard study done over 75 years. Is
Yeah,
that what you're talking about?
yeah. It was. I think it was like it was building on that. But yeah, that you're right. That's the Harvard happiness study. Yeah,
Mm. Yeah, quality of relationships. Yeah, I preach that all the time to my mates and anyone else that I think would benefit from that little nugget of wisdom. It's quite powerful.
yeah. That actually reminds me of another study I read several years ago now, but it summed up parenting. Like, you said you're not a parent, so you're not aware of this, but the title of the study was "Parenting Makes Your Life Worse, Except It Doesn't," and it just laid out all the research that having kids makes your life worse by every measurable outcome except for one. You get less sleep, you're less happy, you're more depressed, you have less money, blah 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 blah. It lays out all of these things where life is worse by, except for this one metric, and this one metric is the most important metric, and that is your sense of purpose. So,
Mm,
so your kids, because they give you a sense of purpose, actually makes your life better, more so than all of these other things negative. All of the negative impacts kids do are completely wiped out and overrun by the sense of purpose that you have.
mm. On that point, a little question for you. What if you had complete purpose and fulfillment before kids? Does the requirement for kids, is it negated somewhat? Do people look to the kids for that purpose and fulfillment?
I don't know, actually. That's a good question. Like I would wonder about that. Like if people, I think if people are looking for kids for fulfillment, I think all of the negative things would probably be, and this is just my personal experience speaking. I would think, because I love my kids. I love my kids. They're great, and I would never give them away or say it was a mistake to have my kids. But the flip side, the kids are the worst decisions I've ever made too, right? Like they cause the most amount of stress. So I think maybe to answer your question, people who are looking for something else to give them fulfillment are missing the point of fulfillment,
Mm, yeah, yeah, yeah,
right? I think for you, if you never want to have kids, I don't. If you're feeling fulfilled and you are where you are and you're where you want to be, I don't.
yeah. I think it's the
Problem with that.
biology. It's the evolutionary biology and conditioning and all of those things are just very loud and yeah, trying to
Yeah,
ascertain what you actually want rather than what should be done is. was difficult sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's I actually had a conversation about this with somebody one time. It was one of my clients years ago now, but you know, her and her husband, I don't even remember how we got onto the topic, but we got into this conversation one time about how, yeah, we're never going to have kids because we want to do all these things and blah, blah, blah. And she was really adamant about it. And a couple of years into our kind of doctor client relationship, she asked me this question. She's like, "Do you have kids? You've talked about your kids." And I'm like, yeah, yeah. And we've been married for so long and we're getting to this age and we've been really thinking like, maybe we should have kids. What do you think? I was like, well, you put me on the spot here, but it's like, I think it'll be the best mistake you ever make. But, like, but you're right. Like there's like there's that weird biological thing. And then there's the societal thing that says, well, you have to do this and you have to do that in order to be successful. But society says you have to be rich and have a fancy car to be successful, and clearly you don't, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think there's so much variation in the world that why should we do anything because somebody else tells us that we should do it? Aside from like, let's not hurt people. I think we can probably all agree on that being a good rule to follow.
Yeah, totally. Unfortunately, not everyone agrees with that philosophy either.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tend to agree with the, well, as long as you're doing what I say, then I won't hurt you.
Yeah. Now, the kids thing, I know this isn't a conversation about, or a podcast about whether or not to have kids, but I guess, approaching 40 soon in a couple of months. And, I think everyone's in their 20s thinking that they'd have X, Y, and Z by 25 used to be the magic number. And life just didn't pan out that way, but just being, I guess, more open to now what life might look like without them. And yeah, this business is definitely helping with that because it's my heart and soul, and I feel really, really fulfilled and so much purpose. I feel like I'm just getting started with all the ideas and stuff and the direction I want to take this, and potentially with the licensing thing, if we can have more people doing this. Yeah, I guess the need is less there, I've noticed, to have kids, but who knows? Who knows?
Well, and I think going back to that study, like the sense of purpose, I think is really what, I think as much as I said, people who are seeking that sense of purpose in having kids are kind of missing the point. But I think, like a sense of purpose is really what that's all about as far as the mental health benefits go. And so, and the sense of purpose that you get from kids is helping this helpless, frankly useless and drained parasite until they become a functional human being and contribute to society. Like that's the sense of purpose. And so when you're in a situation like you're at, like you have that sense of purpose. You are helping people. You are growing people. You are creating good in the world. You're making the world a better place by being who you are.
Yeah, totally. No, thank you. Appreciate that. And it's something I'm very grateful for, truly, to land here from where I was looking back in the corporate days and when I left and went traveling. I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I feel very fortunate.
So just kind of like maybe in wrapping up our conversation here, but what are some of the experiences that you've had with clients? Like, you said you've had all over, like the neurodivergence, autism, ADHD, old people, young people. Like, what do you typically see the individual's journey as? Do you see them coming in as at a low point and leaving at a high point?
Yeah, I guess I have a few examples in mind of recent, actually, but I guess a big highlight always is when people come in quite scared of the noise, the tools, the machines, no idea how to use something, and we'll say, no, I can't use that, or no, I don't want to, that's too scary, but then just slowly building them up, and then a little bit of tough love as well. Actually, lots of tough love. I'm very big on that, is just not accepting someone, because their limitations are their own perceived limitations, and they just need someone else to push them a little bit with the right support in place and seeing them use something for the first time, and then the subsequent times just doing it without even thinking. Well, to the point where they forget that they came in here not knowing how to do something or too scared of it. That's always really, really cool to see. One of the young guys, he is 15. He's chosen, like the schooling system isn't for him. He's always been homeschooled. He's now chosen a Cert 1, Certificate 1 in construction because of, not primarily because of what we're doing here, but, for the last couple of years, I'm always, I guess, trying to apply the things we do and best practice to things on site, like on a construction site or in a cabinet making workshop or that kind of thing. Just in general, trying to set them up for being better employees or, encouraging them to start their own thing. Yeah, so that guy, that kid, he's chosen a Certificate 1 in construction, and the workshops have helped him get to that point. Another kid has chosen furnishings in high school, and he's really excelling in that because of all the experience in the workshop. Yeah, another guy, seeing him come in with his little notebook, all the dimensions and plans drawn up for a new custom desk we're building, and then getting, like, he wouldn't have thought in that way before. Like with the experience downstairs, and we always plan things out and get dimensions down and cut lists and steps and get really methodical and just having that rub off on people, and then seeing them leading the way with their projects and coming in with a notebook with everything planned up. And then we get to troubleshoot how this is actually going to look, pros and cons of this approach versus that one. That's really, really, really satisfying and rewarding. Yeah, that's a few of the highlights off the top of my head. A couple of visually impaired people thought that they couldn't use a tape measure, but we came up with a way for them to be able to, with my help obviously, but to measure stuff. And seeing that in them, they thought it wasn't a possibility, to then, hey, they can actually do this task, like using a tape measure when you can't see it. How are you going to do that? But one of them I got just within a certain tolerance. So like, just say it was 50 mil, or say, let's go 500 mil. He could only see the color because in the tape measure, you got all the small black numbers, and then 100, 200, 300 mil is in red. But he could see the red. I was like, okay, well, a rough 100 mil is roughly that distance. Look for the first one and then count up to, if it's 500, etc. And then just aim, if you want 550, just aim for in between the red marks, and let's see how you go. I made a bit of a game out of it. And then he's getting closer and closer to it, and that's just another layer to it that he didn't think he could do, and that's been really satisfying as well. Yeah, so lots of little things to tell you.
That's just thinking of the visually impaired ones. There's a guy I keep wanting to reach out to him and see if I can get him on here. Have you ever seen the blind? I think he goes by the Blind Woodworker on Instagram.
He's in Australia, yeah?
I don't know. I don't know where he is. But he's legit blind, like no visual ability at all. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I'm sorry, if you can use power tools safely, then anybody can use power tools safely.
Yeah.
Then there's always the ones that pop up in the feed every once in a while that kind of scare you, like the guys in India that are pushing things through the table saw with their feet, sort of thing. And it's just like, like if you can do that, then you can do anything, really.
Yeah, you're okay in my book.
Yeah, like for me, being able to make something is empowering, and I would imagine in your situation, you see people coming in that are just like I have no ability to do anything, and then just being able to just make those small things really gives them a sense of ability and a sense of empowerment, eh?
Yeah, for sure. Just I think everyone, just when you accomplish something, no matter how small it is, even like, the first task of your day is making your bed. Just any sense of accomplishment, it just gives you momentum and gives you confidence within yourself. And, in the workshop setting, it's even more so, especially when they doubt themselves so much. And I don't think they have many other avenues to push past their comfort zone with that kind of thing. So yeah, I think that's why it's so impactful. That's why people keep coming back. I don't force anyone to come. There's no contracts, like if you don't want to come anymore, you don't have to come. Like but that also helps drive me to make sure that I'm providing the right service where they just want to come. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Is that begs the question then, like what how do you bring people in? Like if some let's this is obviously something that I don't want to say anybody can do, but I mean you definitely have to have the mindset of providing value for people and wanting to support people in their journey and need. So I mean that's a skill set in and of itself. But how do you start your workshop, opening your workshop to people who need it in that way? Like what you obviously started with like a support worker and helping people out and then bringing them back, but how do you perpetuate that now?
Well, I've never advertised, but there are, social media, word of mouth. There's some Facebook groups. To be honest, I'd say all of it has been just word of mouth because I've never done an advertisement. It's just social media posts, and someone will tell their friends for their child, and that's it. That's just how it's happened. Like when I first started, because I was, I guess, starting again, rebuilding, I guess, from the corporate days and traveling. And when I started this, I remember asking myself, what does my ideal week look like, and what days do I want to work? Initially, it was just Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I had enough people to do those hours. And then as I got comfortable with that workload and that, I guess, I adjusted to that lifestyle with the admin alongside it. It's like, okay, I can increase this to Monday, and then I've always protected my Friday. And then I don't know what it is, but look, I've never done a business plan. I haven't advertised. I keep going back to, like, the analogy I use is the oxygen mask in the plane. Like, as long as my oxygen mask is on at all times, then I can keep doing what I'm doing. And the way I keep that on is keeping my flexibility, my lifestyle, my balance with everything. And as and when I've thought, oh, you know what, I could probably do another workshop, it just happens. I don't know how, but someone will hit me up. I swear, sometimes to the day that I have the thoughts. And I don't know if you believe in manifesting or that kind of thing, but that is the entire 5 years. That is just how my business has gone organically.
Hmm. Well, I think that speaks to the value that you bring to the table, right? Like if you're just trying to sell somebody something and they don't see any value in it, then they're not going to buy it from you. But if you're bringing value to the table, then people will see that and they will come to that.
Yeah, and paradoxically, like, I need to have the value for myself too, and I think that speaks to the selfish point initially when I started this, is I wanted to create income from something I enjoyed. But then when I created it, seeing the impact, it's like it's just one feeds the other, and it's just a constant snowball. And that is what I want to protect. As long as I'm providing value, one of the main goals when people come in is, and I've told them as well, is I just want you to want to come back, and that's it. I don't care how that looks, what I need to do to achieve that. But if that can be ticked constantly, then that means I'm doing my job. I still have my oxygen mask on, so to speak, and we're good.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah. Well, in conclusion, I guess what would you tell somebody who wants to who wants like there's a lot of people who do woodworking that listen to this podcast, various forms of making. What would you tell them to they're inspired right now to go out and do something similar? What would you tell them to do? What would their first step be?
Go to the licensing section on my website and apply. Move to Brisbane if you don't already live here. Aside from that, maybe just get outside of your own needs and just find ways that you could serve others. I mean, I think that is the answer to everything.
That's probably true. That probably is the answer to everything. Is forget yourself and go to work, basically,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I guess
and forget other
maybe,
people and go to work too.
yeah, yeah. So if you could let go of, yeah, your own, I guess, say with your hobby and passion of woodworking, you want to learn a certain skill set, you want to do this, you want to do that. I guess if I was to do that, I wouldn't have been able to create what I've created. I sort of took my hands off the steering wheel and just let this dictate where my woodworking journey went. So I guess a lot of woodworkers, I think most on the planet can't really earn and pay themselves the hours that they put into their craft. But if you were to, I guess look for ways in which you could serve others and help them, maybe there's a way that you could collaborate with other woodworkers or other community organizations to combine, your love for something as well as giving to others.
Yeah. And I guess there's all sorts of organizations now, or getting to be more organizations now that's exactly the mission, like the men's shed thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about coming and, you know, I'll show you what to do as much as it is about collaborating and coming together and helping each other and that sort of thing.
Mm. Yeah, collaboration's a big one, and it's something I struggled with when I first started. It's quite unique what I have been doing, and people have sort of, I guess it's more and more people are doing similar things. But when I first started, it was very unique, especially within the NDIS and the country. I was kind of gatekeeping, and my mentor would always say, you got to let go of that mindset. So even doing this and talking about it with you has been a huge thing. I don't even think twice about it now, but it's taken time to get there. And then the key word there is collaboration. Yeah, looking for ways that you can collaborate with others that have similar values and goals. You can't go wrong.
Well, I really do appreciate you taking the time to come on to the show and share us your experience and share what you're doing and all that type of stuff. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you, and you'll have at least one follower come along and show you some love, maybe even two, hopefully.
If I don't, I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
No, totally kidding. Yeah, that does not bother me in the slightest. The website, www.thisabilitycrew.com.au. Same handle on Instagram and Facebook. And what you, I guess, find on there is I just try to capture the stuff that we do in the workshop and try to have little snippets of someone's project. It might take a couple of weeks, it might take a couple of months, and just record little snippets of them to the final result, as well as do monthly recaps of what everybody's working on and a few pictures here and there. Nothing really, I guess it's just what we do. We just try to capture as much as what's happening downstairs. So that's what you'll find on there.
Yep. As always, I've been enjoying following along so far, and feel a little bit more inspired myself to be a little bit more open with my own tools, I suppose. Not keep the entrance to my shop quite as much, but anyway.
Okay. Can I ask just
sorry?
Can I ask just quickly what that might look like? If you've been, what is the next step for you? If something's inspiring you to take more action, what is that action and what does that look like?
Oh, now you're putting me on the spot.
Of course.
Well, for starters, I need to finish building my house, and that's kind of once my house is I keep saying that once my house is done, then blah blah blah, but I really do need to. There are people that keep, hey, can I come and help you with that, or can you show me how to do that? And I really do need to be a little bit more open with, I can, you come help me with this. And
accepting help is difficult for some reason, isn't it?
yeah, it is. Well, and I use the excuse of, personally, I use the excuse of, I'm so busy doing all of these other things currently that, it's hard for me to schedule that in, but at the same time, it's also, I'm also self-employed, so I really can just schedule it in and then change my schedule. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not, but it's mostly me being selfish.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I've seen it in myself and I've seen it in other people as well. There's an ego element as well. You want to be able to say that I did this myself. So someone else, you can't say that anymore.
Yeah, that's true too. The flip side of that, though, is if somebody else helps me and it gets messed up, then I can say, it's not my fault.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's head over to the after show. Again, thanks for coming on. I really do appreciate your time and sharing your experience.
No, likewise, mate. It was A pleasure to talk to you.
Now I'm sitting here recording the Patreon thank you in my lovely unfinished office in my high-end work clothes after working on building the house. And in honor of our guest, I'm going to do the Patreon thank you in my best Australian accent. So Australian listeners, don't mock me too much. Here we go. Heartfelt thank you to the founding fathers of the Workshop Therapy podcast. Australian accent. It's terrible. Okay, let's start that again. Now, a heartfelt thank you to the founding fathers of the Workshop Therapy podcast. The men who stood at the edge of uncertainty, looked into the chaotic abyss of woodworking dust, mental health conversations, questionable equality, and have finished philosophical thoughts and said, yeah, I'm in. Massive thank you to Matthew from Arciano Serio, Brad of Brad's Customs, Keith of Black Foam Concepts, Eric of Overall Makerworks, and Brandon of Tectonic Creations. These are the founding fathers, the original believers, the men who supported the podcast before there was momentum, before there was polish, not that there's any now, and honestly, before anyone could so confidently explain what this show even was. There's guys in the workshop saying things like, maybe building things with your hands is psychologically important. And these legends apparently thought, finally, someone said it. Their support helped turn this into a real community, which is both deeply meaningful and mildly concerning for all those involved. And of course, a huge thank you to all the other patrons who are supporting the show. Whether you're free or financially supporting, I appreciate it. Switching into a crappy English accent along with my Australian accent, so I apologize for that. But special shout out to all of the new patrons who have joined on. Most of you have been free, and I appreciate that too. I'm hoping you're finding value in what I am posting there. Thank you, genuinely tired, long day today. Your support really does keep this show going. Any questions, comments, or even strongly held opinions, you're welcome to send them to questions@workshoptherapypodcast.com, and I will answer them. So have a good one.